abandoned at birth, then being abandoned through sickness from your adopted mother, and then being abandoned in a way by a stepmother who didn't understand you or who you didn't really bond with. So, did that leave you with issues of abandonment?
Huge. I mean, there's probably still times that I life coach myself out of it. What I learned, again, which I'm grateful for, is I learned what not to do as a parent when I decided to be a parent, and I'm very grateful for that. So learning what not to do helps you learn what to do. I also learned and gained an inner strength and learned self-worth. And I learned to be hopeful, and I had choices. I always knew that you can make a left turn or you can make a right turn, and I've made some mistakes in life, for sure. I'm
We
human,
all do.
but I've made more right turns in my life than I have left, and I'm very grateful for that. I could have very easily of having no family when I was younger. I could have gotten into drugs or prostitution or God knows what, homeless, anything, and instead...
Well, I never would have let that happen. So that was never going to be
Thank you.
anything that was ever going to happen to you. You know, we always had your back. And you have other relatives here. You have your
Right.
cousins here who are also my cousins. We're all the same family biologically. But I think
But I
you
could
were...
have gone down drugs.
You could have, but
anything.
you're a strong personality.
Mhm.
Samantha, you've always been kind of a tough cookie. You can handle things that maybe other people couldn't handle as well. And I think it's partly because you were so, I won't use the word abandoned, but you were very self-sufficient at a young age. So you kind of had to
Yeah.
take the reins and kind of forge your own way.
You know, when they left and everyone went to the hospital that day, I didn't know what to do. So what does a kid do? Instead of me spiraling, I just grabbed a handball and went outside and played like a normal kid until somebody came and got me.
So at some point they realized, hey, there's a little girl that we left at home. And I remember that story so clearly. Anyways, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the search for your birth parents. We'll be right back.
Want to stay informed, entertained, and enlightened? Get connected and stay connected today to New Radio Media. The New Radio Media app is now available for download in the Apple and Google Play Store. Just search for NRM Streams for unlimited access to archived, live, new, exciting, and unique content,
Welcome to Geektainment Weekly.
all for free. Do it now. Stay connected.
And action.
And millions of ducks. The two guys go to newradiomedia.com.
The Arts and Entertainment Channel on New Radio Media .com.
What's going on in your neighborhood?
They say it takes a village.
It's the simple things.
The things that are a testament to the old.
And the things that are a testament to the new.
Know what's going on in your community.
Check out our community channel on newradiomedia.com.
It's all about you, and that's the way we like it.
Where you're going.
What you do to stay fit.
What you're eating.
What you're thinking?
And how you're feeling. Join the conversation at newradiomedia.com's Lifestyles channel.
Stream the life you want to live.
Welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit more here to Samantha Bennington before we get to Draven Bennington. We're getting to you. You're not involved at this stage of her life yet. So we have the whole second half of the show for you. So how old were you? Because I can't remember exactly when you started looking for your birth parents. You were kind of young.
I think I was 15, but I didn't find them till I was around 22.
And was it with the blessing of your adopted parents that you were looking for them, or were they kind of not too happy about it?
Well, it was my, I'll be nice, stepmom who said she miraculously found them. I think it was with the blessing of my father and my biological parents. I think they always kind of stayed in touch somehow, some way. But this was like, wow, how exciting. This is awesome. I look like people.
Because you didn't really look like your adopted family, being that your heritage is a little different. So, yeah, you have a little more exotic look. And you found the mother first, correct?
I did, and I'm so grateful that she did give me up for adoption. I really want, if she ever listens to this, just to know how thankful I am, because even though my adopted life or growing up wasn't perfect and it was very difficult, I'm here. And he's here most importantly.
I know. Everything happens for a reason. Your journey was preordained. You just didn't know it at the time. But meeting her must have been interesting. Did she look like you? Did you say, wow, now I see where I got my coloring from, where I got this from or that from?
It's really cool because I look so much more like my Greek family than my Italian side, which I didn't meet till many years later with the help of your son, Brad.
Yeah, we'll get to that story.
But
so let's talk about
great?
Marianne. That's your birth mom.
I found out she loved red licorice, and that's my favorite. So to think in your DNA that you actually
share cravings.
It was the coolest thing. Sounds silly.
And tell me a little bit about her family, because I know, but for everybody else, you found out through her that you had some siblings.
Yes, they're Orthodox Greek, and they're a beautiful family. As she got older, she met a wonderful man, got married, and had 2 beautiful children. She has, I have a younger brother, Eddie, and he's so handsome. Actually, I think Draven and him look so much alike, except for their coloring.
Yeah, there's similar features from the pictures that I saw. You're right.
They really look a lot alike, except he has his dad's, fair skin, and we all have olive skin. And then my little sister, Mary Rose, when you put our baby pictures next to each other, her grandparents that she was raised with, which are my biological, and my adopted grandparents, they couldn't tell who was who.
Really?
And she's stunning. And I think, I'm older, so I think now you would see the difference in us, but they're really beautiful. And I'm just so grateful that I know them. And I hope one day we're not in each other's lives, but we know how to connect.
Well, you're aware of each other, and so
Right.
that connection's always just a phone call away.
Right.
So
Or a Facebook away.
Or a Facebook away, exactly. And then it was a few years after that that you found your biological father.
Right. I wish I listened to my biological mother, because everything she said was true. You don't be careful what you wish for. Don't always search for everything.
Yeah, but it was an experience. It's just part of your life. He just turned out not to be father knows best. He wasn't like
When
TV dad.
When your son called me, when Brad called me and said, he's in Jacksonville.
No, Jackson Prison.
Jackson Prison. Yeah, I didn't know what it was called.
Right.
And I had to call the warden and actually speak to the warden to speak to him. I thought, wow, this could be a movie in itself. This is crazy. What am I doing? But I'm glad I had the courage, because then I know a little bit more about my history, so that when I decided to have a child myself, I would know more of my medical. That was really my major part
I think that's every adopted child's number one concern, is their background medically. In case there's something they need to know, there's something genetic that they might not be aware of, or
Right.
what to watch out for. So that was good, because they were both healthy.
Well, I found out that my Italian grandmother had cirrhosis of the liver, and she never drank, which was very interesting. Now I don't know if I believe if she never drank, because how do you have cirrhosis of the liver? Come on.
I'm not a doctor, but it does sound,
Fishy.
like she might have had a little nip now and again.
And then I found out on my biological side that there was lupus that ran in the family. So what was very great knowledge for me was when I decided, and which we'll get to I'm sure later, to have Draven, I was able to take an baby aspirin for 2 weeks through my in vitro to stop the lupus gene from passing on to him and his future children and grandchildren and so forth.
Very, very, very smart of you. I always knew you were a tough, smart little girl. Now I know for sure.
I learned it from the best.
Now, how hard was it for you to merge the biological family and your adopted family and all the different thoughts going through your mind about each person's different personality and background? Was it confusing for you, or did you find that it was a relief to know where you came from?
It was a relief, but I felt like they knew each other forever. I felt I was out of the loop. It was interesting. When we all met in Vegas, and my adopted and my biological, and I just felt they'd known each other for years, and I was clueless.
Really?
It was a very interesting thing, and then
I don't think they did, as far as from what I remember. I don't think they were friends or anything like that. I think that they might have, maybe to them it was an open adoption, and they knew, your biological parents knew who you went to, and I think that your adopted parents know who you came from.
Right.
But I wouldn't say that they socialized or were friendly.
It just seemed like they'd known so much, but maybe through conversations
Could
before I
be.
met.
Yeah.
I know my stepmom got involved and really kind of put a damper on my biological mother's relationship. She just, I know, shared quite a lot of her feelings of how I was in her mind, and didn't give my biological mom and I a great opportunity. I also kind of burnt that bridge when I wanted to find my biological father, that my biological mother was not very thrilled with that, knowing what type of person he was. She didn't want that in her life, and I can respect that.
Well, it was a real deep curiosity that you had to find out who he was and meet him, and you did. And through that, you also got other relatives on that side of the family. And I know while you've been here in Detroit, you also touched bases with another cousin that you hadn't even known existed.
Right? I have a new cousin.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun. We met Cousin Mark.
Yes.
So
it was so nice to meet him, and now he'll be in our lives.
Right. So that's the good part about
Yes.
being adopted and touching bases with some of your biological relatives. Let's go past all that. Now you're a grown-up girl, and you got married, your first marriage to Anthony. Do you think that you got married, looking back on that, do you think that your first marriage was because you just needed a family, you needed to belong to somebody, and he gave you that sense of belonging?
I loved him. We were young. We were high school sweethearts. He was also my way out. I could get away from, I didn't want to fight with my stepmom or my dad. I always felt like I was a burden. I was always cutting edge and doing things my way, which I probably gave my dad every gray hair on his head. God bless his soul.
Yeah, right.
You know, I will give him that. But yeah, we were both each other's way out. You know, he kind of came from halfway the beach and halfway the ghetto, and I came from the beach, and I think we were each other's way of grounding and going to college and creating a life. And when you become married, there's all of a sudden an instant stability factor. We were playing house at
Right.
a
Well, that's
very
what
young
it's like
age.
when you're young and you get
Yeah.
married so young. It is like playing house. And you guys were in Arizona.
Well, we moved from California
Right,
to
to
Arizona
Arizona.
for his medical career, and I stuck with him till he graduated. I promised we would get him through med school, and I went into real estate. My career was taking off, and he just graduated, and I said, this is not for me, and I swore off men for life. I'm never going to get married again. I'm going to be single forever. And then I ran into his father with my ex-husband, by the
Yeah.
way.
Tell me about that, because that was kind of an unusual situation.
So before we got divorced, although we were in the middle of a divorce, we were trying to be amicable. We didn't have a house together. We didn't have children together. But we did have 20 concert tickets together with most of his coworkers and friends. And we were just brand new to Arizona, so we didn't really know anyone. And we went to a rock show, a 21 and over at Super Bowl Sunday. It was January 28th and of 1996, actually. And it was hot. We walked in, there's all these people, and this guy came up and said, "Can you listen to our band play?" And I'm like, well, I'm with this huge group. Oh no, come sit up front and you can see us play. And great seats. There was a fountain. There was umbrella. And in Arizona, you need an umbrella. So we went and watched. It was the worst band I've ever seen or heard in